Highlights from round 4 of ESL R1 as we would return to the legendary circuit, the spa-francorchamps, and it would be Marcel Cincic this time starting from pole position. All of the drivers focused on getting inside the top 6 so they can go racing in the semi-finals on Monday night. It was a great start from James Baldwin there from 8th position as he would try and attack to get inside the top 6 on that race down towards the first corner. Mitchell de Jong going aggressive around the outside, but unfortunately it would not work. In a little bit too deep, he'd still hold on to 9th position, but still obviously not inside that top 6 as they would head down towards Eau Rouge and Radion. That's where they were all looking to go. Jeffrey Rietveld dropping back a little bit on the race start behind Jakub Brzezinski as they would rise their way up this enormous 2-kilometre straight down towards Les Combes. Marcel Cincic would lead the race. Gaiki Oliveira up to 2nd position, getting past Maximilian Benneker, who was trying to find his way back through but wouldn't risk it on the first lap, content with sitting in 3rd position. Marcel Cincic content with holding on to the race lead. Switches down for 6th and 7th as Jakub Brzezinski was trying to fend off Jeff Rietveld, who was going around the outside of the first part of Les Combes, turned in a little bit too much into Malmedy, and out wide he would go behind James Baldwin and behind Mitchell de Jong as well. By the time they got down towards Rivage, it was turning into a disaster for the quarter-final winner in round 1 of the championship when we went racing at Spa for the very first time. Jeffrey Rietveld down to 9th position and with a lot of work on his hands, not only for moving forward but also for keeping Lucas Muller, Peter Berryman and Rainer Tauber behind. Maximilian Benneker was the driver that was on the attack to go and take 2nd position back after he dropped back from the race start, and the final winner in round 1 of the championship would take over 2nd place, well inside that top 6 that was being led by Marcel Cincic, Benneker, Oliveira, Jonas Tormela, Thomas Tattler and Jakub Brzezinski as they would head down into the final complex of corners on that very final lap of the race. R8G would see victory, this time courtesy of Marcel Cincic. A fantastic performance from the Hungarian, Mr. Consistency across the line to take his first win in ESL R1. Leading across the line Benneker for Mouse, Furia's Kaiki Oliveira, G2's Joni Tormela, Heroic's Thomas Tattler and Williams Esports' Jakub Brzezinski. Unfortunately for James Baldwin, Mitchell de Jong, Jeffrey Rietveld, Lucas Muller, Peter Berryman and Rainer Tauber, we would no longer see them in round 4 of ESL R1. And next time we were on to quarterfinal 2, which would see Niels Nyox, the Silver Fox, starting from pole position alongside Kevin Ellis Jr. as they would take to the race start. It was actually a poor one from Enzo Benito, but the second phase of his start was actually really strong and he was attacking down towards that first corner. There were some issues behind, which would see Erhan Yovski being spun round along with Bunnerhaus, and that was a big drama on the race start. Bunnerhaus would actually receive a 25-second post-race penalty, and Yuri Kasdorp was on the attack of Dara McCormack. The race up towards Les Combes, it was the inside line being taken from the Williams Esports driver. Lasse Sorensen on his debut behind, having a little bit of wheel-to-wheel action with Dane Warren, and they would continue that side-by-side going through Les Combes and up towards Malmedy. The Dane taking over 7th position, and Dane Warren, one of the fastest drivers in the competition, not having that racecraft, not being able to hang on, as it would be Lasse Sorensen attacking Yuri Kasdorp, the Mouse driver, up inside that top 6. A bit of a squeeze in the braking zone from the Dutchman on Lasse Sorensen, as Yuri Kasdorp would try and hang on to that final position inside the transfer spot. Lap 2 of the race though, and they were racing hard, meaning business, allowing Dara McCormack to pull away, and Yuri Kasdorp would have some dramas. Lasse Sorensen up to 6th position, Isaac Price going on the attack, yet more hip checks going into Les Combes between the pair of them as they would brush their way through the BMW pairing. Furia, massive slides through the second apex of Les Combes, and then it was Dane Warren into the mix as well, all fighting over that final transfer spot on the very last lap of this race. Furia though looking to hang on to it on Lasse Sorensen's debut. Niels Nyox though would cross the line to take victory ahead of Enzo Benito and Kevin Ellis Jr. Tommy Østgaard would take 4th position, and then Dara McCormack would come across the line 4 seconds clear of a tight battle for 6th. And that battle would see Lasse Sorensen taking the final transfer spot. Isaac Price, Dane Warren, Erhan Yovski, Yuri Kasdorp, Bunnerhaus and Ian Porter, the drivers that would no longer progress. Quarter-final 3 then, and it was 2 round winners from ESL R1 starting from the front row. Luke Bennett, the most recent of those, starting alongside Joshua Rogers, and a good start from the pole sitter down towards turn 1. It was drama in the background though that we were focused on. FaZe Clan and Tim Yarshall going for an enormous spin on the race down towards La Source, and he would be dropped to the rear of the field, joined by Oscar Bixrud, who would have issues through the first corner, and the pair of those, for FaZe Clan and Heroic alike, would have a very tall order to try and progress through into Monday's semi-final. There was almost a bit of side-by-side between Yuri Toman and Jamie Fluke going through Eau Rouge and Radion. Yuri Toman being the wiser and backing out of it, not going for a move into the most dangerous part of this race circuit. Where there was potential for a move was up towards the race lead. Luke Bennett and Josh Rogers having the battle. Josh Rogers having a look, Luke Bennett backing out and deciding not to fight for the race leads too hard. Staying inside the top 6 was the priority for these drivers, as was being shown towards that battle for 6th. Veloso, Pajic and Wisniewski all involved in a massive battle for that final transfer spot. There'd be 3 wide after a brilliant cutback from Nikodem Wisniewski through the first corner, and normally 3 wide was a recipe for disaster, but with some of the best drivers in sim racing, it was just a recipe for good racing. Marco Pajic through the inside to take over 6th position. Nikodem Wisniewski to the outside, getting squeezed off a little bit by Pajic, and then coming back over the nose of Veloso. They'd be side by side between the pair of those going down the hill. The slipstream being dished out to the Furia machine that was on the right hand side, and it would be the Furia car of Veloso retaking over 7th position. Eamon Murphy into the rear end of Wisniewski, and Ryan Barneveld was able to come through in the BMW M Team BS competition and up into that 9th position. Eamon Murphy almost got him through though after a poor run onto the Kemmel Straight. Nikodem Wisniewski was once again trying to find a way past Veloso for what was now 7th position, but a couple of squeeze between the pair of those and a hard fight would allow Marco Pajic to just check out a little bit from the grouping, especially when Veloso had to come into the pit lane to serve a drive-through penalty, ending his chances of progressing. Josh Rogers continuing on his fantastic ways, taking another victory in quarterfinal 3 as Rogers would cross the line ahead of Bennett, Fluke, Toman, Lerner and Pajic, the drivers that would progress. Wisniewski, Eamon Murphy, Ryan Barneveld, Oscar Bixrud, Tim Yarshall and Victor Veloso, the drivers that would no longer progress through into the semi-finals on Monday night. And on to the 4th and final quarterfinal, which would see Kevin Siggy starting on pole position alongside Robbie Stableford for G2 Esports as they would race their way down towards the first corner. Again, a good translation from the front row, but a great start from Dennis Schoeniger to move his way up 3 wide going down to the first corner to get inside that top 6. He would absolutely send it into the first, and there was a bit of side-by-side as Ulas Ozildirim was trying to attack for his way back inside the top 6 after being squeezed out wide from Jeff Giassi. Ibrahim Khan, also on his debut for ESL R1, was trying to get involved with BMW M Team BS competition, but he had to worry about Graham Carroll sending it down the inside and sending it straight into Jeff Giassi. Ibrahim Khan and Patrick Holtzman were also both involved in the mix, just coming through the middle of it, and then have a bit of contact on the return to the race circuit. Ibrahim Khan straight into the side of Patrick Holtzman, and then going for almost a little bit of a bonus spin. Johan Harth going on the attack of Risto Capit for what was just outside of the transfer positions for 7th, as it would be 2 Audi R8s battling it into Lecom. Johan Harth with a fantastic move around the outside. Risto Capit not fighting it too hard, and also having Jeff Giassi on the recovery drive behind. For those inside the top 6 though, things would get a little bit questionable after Robbie Stapleford had some drama, dropping him to 12th position, allowing Kevin Siggy to comfortably win the race ahead of Mikael Gala. Dennis Schoeniger up to 3rd after a fantastic race. Mac Backham, Ulas Ozildirim and then Risto Capit across the line for R8G to round out the top 6, and those final 6 drivers moving through. Johan Harth, Patrick Holtzman, Ibrahim Khan, Jeff Giassi, Graham Carroll and Robbie Stapleford, the other 6 drivers no longer progressing.